morning. Praise the Lord. If you will bow your heads in a moment of prayer with me. Father, we come boldly before your throne in the name of Jesus and by his blood. Jesus, we do acknowledge you this morning. You are the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And we just thank you this morning for this opportunity to gather together on one accord and strategize on ways to enhance this community, on ways to build character in our young males. And we just thank you, Father, for all the answers that will come forth today. Holy Spirit, you are the counselor. You are our teacher. You are our standby and our helper. And we invite you into this meeting today. We ask that you would give us new ideas, concepts, witty inventions that would help us to impact the lives of our young males in this community. Father, we take authority now over every hindrance, over confusion, contention, strife, and we just thank you for the peace of God that surpasses all understanding being in this place. And we thank you first and foremost, Lord, for the success of this meeting. We thank you that lives will be transformed and changed. This community will grow and continue to bring glory and honor to you as ideas are changed, transformed, and brought forth this morning. So Lord, we do honor you. We do magnify you in this place, and we thank you that everything that is said and done here will glorify and honor you. We do ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
This is our second time doing a conversation with my brother, and as you know, we host it and I just get out of the way because this is all about males. I don't have a boy, so I don't know anything, but I know how to assemble men who do know a lot about males. So, but before we get started, there's one thing I want to do. We all know that we are so very honored today to have a special guest, Dr. C.T. Vivian. I don't know if he's ever been recognized in Clayton County or not, but we're going to do it this morning. And so I am honored and hope I am the first person in Clayton County to present him a proclamation. And the proclamation reads, Clayton County recognizes Dr. C.T. Vivian, a father of the civil rights movement. Whereas in 1961, Dr. C.T. Vivian, a member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, participated in the historic Freedom Rise, replacing injured members of the Congress of Racial Equality. He helped found the Nashville Christian Leadership Conference and helped organize the first sit-ins in Nashville in 1960 and the first Civil Rights March in 1961. Dr. Vivian rode the first Freedom Bus into Jackson, Mississippi, and went on to work alongside Martin Luther King Jr., James Bevel, Diane Nash, and others on SCLC's executive staff in Birmingham, Selma, Chicago, Nashville, the March on Washington, Danville, Virginia, and St. Augustine, Florida. Some claim that the St. Augustine campaign helped lead to the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964. And whereas Dr. Vivian, once known as a Christian journalist, is best known for his work with Dr. Martin Luther King. He is a national director of affiliates and strategist for every Southern Christian Leadership Conference organization and has truly helped change the nation. And whereas Dr. Vivian has first nonviolent direct action movement in 1947 by integrating restaurants in Peoria, Illinois. The summer following the Selma movement, Dr. Vivian developed, organized, and launched Vision, an educational program that assisted over 700 Alabama students to attend college on scholarships. This organization would later be known as Upward Bound. And whereas in 1970, Dr. Vivian authored the first book written by a member of Dr. King's staff entitled Black Power and the American Myth. After leaving Dr. King's executive staff, Dr. Vivian trained ministers and developed the urban curriculum for seminaries throughout the nation at the Urban Training Center in Chicago. And whereas Dr. Vivian is the recipient of several notable awards, including the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013, for his vision and leadership in the fight for justice. He is also the recipient of the 2016 Trumpet Award. Dr. Vivian received an honorary doctorate from Morehouse College and currently serves as Dean of the Urban Institute at the Interdenominational Theological Center in Atlanta. And whereas Dr. Vivian founded the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute in 2008 with the purpose to create a safe space for visitors to explore the fundamental rights of all human beings so that they leave inspired and empowered to join the oncoming dialogue about human rights in their communities. Dr. Vivian is now recognized and honored by the Clayton County Board of Commissioners for his extraordinary leadership and his support of the movement, A Conversation with My Brother Too, and his commitment for helping men in this community positively impact and educate young males in Clayton County. Now, therefore, I, Sonna Gregory, Vice Chair and Commissioner, District 1, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize and honor Dr. C.T. Vivian for his participation and involvement in A Conversation with My Brother Too on this day, March 12, 2016, at the Carl Rodenizer Recreation Center in Rex, Georgia. I call on all citizens in Clayton County to recognize, learn more, and thank this civil rights legend for his many efforts to ensure equality for all citizens in the United States of America. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia to be affixed this 12th day of March in the year 2016. Sonna Gregory, Commissioner. We believe in what Dr. Vivian's life has stood for, and we believe in what he is doing today. I don't have any money, but I know of people who were able to help us, and so we are honored to donate to his two foundations, the Vivian Whitsack Foundation and also the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute. Okay, and now we're going to get on with the show. I'm honored today to present our moderator for A Conversation with My Brother Too, Mr. Jason Green, attorney. Jason, I met Jason a few years ago, and I know his commitment for young males, especially in Clayton County. I met him when he was coaching the mock trial team at Mundy's Mill High School. Jason works with our mentoring program at Mundy's Mill High School, and he's just committed to the boys in this community. He's an excellent attorney, great guy. He, one of the things he shared with me, not only is he a prosecutor, but he's also has worked as a defense attorney. So he knows the struggles that Big Mama has when she comes in and wants to let everybody and convince you that her boy is good, even though he just did that. So he knows and he understands. So without further ado, it's my pleasure and my honor to present Mr. Jason Green, our moderator.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all men doing?
All right, all right.
How are y'all doing?
Good.
All right. First of all, I want everybody to really give a round of applause to Commissioner Gregory and Dr. Vivian and the other panelists for coming to this. This is a tremendous effort, so give it up to them. I want to take a moment to applaud you all. You didn't come to hear me give a speech, and certainly I'm not inclined to give one, but I think it must be said that we will go to any number of events. We'll go to ball games, we'll go to concerts, we'll go to the mall, we'll go everywhere, but applause to you guys for coming out to something that really matters, to coming out to something where you can invest in yourself and invest in your future. So thank you, give yourselves a round of applause. So with that, let's get started. Young men, you have a great opportunity here because even though I imagine looking at some of you guys, you all might be thinking, who are these old men up here? But they have done and they have gone through everything that you all are going through now, just in a different time. there's the expression, there ain't nothing new under the sun. They have lived and gone through a lot. They had fights, they had gangs, they had violence, they had racial prejudice, they had issues with the police, they had all of these things back when they were your age. So trust and believe there's a wealth of experience and wisdom here for you to draw on. I know we have some guests and some adults, and we want you all to participate. There's only 3 rules for this event. Rule number 1, ask a question. Rule number 2, ask a question. And rule number 3, ask a question. What I mean is, we're not here to grandstand. When I was putting this out on my Facebook, I said we're not going to do any pontificating and posturing and making speeches. I see we have some elected officials and candidates and people representing different organizations. If you want to contribute, by all means do, but let's not sit here and perform. Let's have a real conversation. Let's make this worth our while. Can we agree on that? Can we agree? All right. So let me get started with introducing. First of all, I would be remiss if I didn't start with Dr. Vivian. You just heard most of the highlights, certainly not all, of his service to not only our people, but humanity and mankind. But he's an icon, and this is a tremendous opportunity for you. But I'm going to start here on my right and let the panel work down and introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, how y'all doing? Everybody seemed kind of quiet in here. Let's get a little active. My name is Donald Taylor. I'm gonna go through my educational background and a little about myself, and then I'll pass the mic on down to the other guys. One of the questions on here was, what are the benefits of being an educated black man?
We'll ask the question. Just tell them a little bit about yourself so they know who's talking.
Okay. Well, I'm Donald Taylor. I'm an owner of an engineering company here in town, a management construction company. I'm also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Had to do that because I see some alphas moving around.
Good morning. I'm Major Parks. I guess you can tell by my outfit. I'm definitely glad to be here. I'm looking forward to answering questions and interacting.
Thank you, sir. Did he say he sees some alphas in here? I think that's like half the room. My name is Peychaud. I am the current chapter president of the Pi Gamma Lambda chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, here in Clayton County, Georgia.
There was one thing they didn't add. I'm an alpha too. You have heard the rest.
Good morning. My name is Benjamin Straker, and I'm your Clayton County School Board member for this specific district.
Good morning, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm a college professor, and I'm also a change agent. I use a variety of mediums to bring about change. I am the author of Decisions, A Young Man's Guide to Avoiding the Traps, and also Change 101 Average is Crowded. I'm excited to be here, and hopefully we have some great conversation.
Good morning, I'm Christian Tillman. I am a political activist here in Clayton County. I am also a political activist and advocate. I advocate from Department of Homeland Security to education to women's health. And I'm also here to focus on the uprising of our young black men. You all are my generation, and so I want to ensure that you all get the opportunities that I've had as a young child.
Good morning. My name is Eric Atwater. I'm a managing partner for Aon here. I lead our public sector practice. This year is very near and dear to me. These were my old stomping grounds. I graduated from Morrow High School, class of 1992. I've got my brothers here who graduated with me along those years. So, you know, this event is very, very near and dear to me as a product of this environment.
Let's start with Major Parks. We'll lob the first question to you. What are some of the things that these young folks should have in mind when they are approached by the police? And young men, be thinking of questions. This is your opportunity to ask questions.
It's a wonderful question. That question is asked every day. It's asked as far as traffic stops. It's asked as far as police interaction if we're out on the street. It's a different thing. I'm glad to see all the young men and women in this audience today, and I'm glad that you were able to come. I'm going to speak a little bit real because I don't want to lose you. I don't want to tell you the police aspect. I don't want to give you all these politically correct terms, and then you're like, okay, whatever. And then you're trying to leave as soon as you're able to leave. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Outside of putting this uniform on, I came up the same way. I'm from New York, I came up from the inner city. I feel like I'm from Clayton County because I've been here like 20 plus years. Pastor Jason Floyd, he just told me that we used to shoot basketball when he was 16 and now he's almost 40. And Sergeant Thomas over here, I think I've known him when he was 4 years old, so when he wasn't allowed to shoot basketball. So the best way is defensive. The word I want to say is do not be defensive. Interact with us. We're trained different ways. I've looked at a couple of questions. I've looked at a lot of topics. We don't train for race. There's no way that we can train to say, hey, we're going to interact with a black male or a white male differently. We treat everybody the same way. Understand we're at a disadvantage when we're coming because we also have to be safe. So it comes with training, knowledge, and experience. You see it sometimes people say, hey, if I get pulled over, the cop walks up with his hand on his gun. It might be 4 or 5 people in there, we're trained that way, but if you haven't done anything, only thing I ask is, like you said, if you grew up back when I grew up, put your hands on the steering wheel. If you're asking these questions, why am I pulled over, just wait until we get there. We might tell you, hey, your tag light is out. We might tell you this and that happened, but do not get offensive. Do not assume that we're there because we're picking on you. Profiling is a terrible word. I feel like in our profession, it's some sort of profiling that happens every day, but it's not race generated. Sometimes if you see 4 or 5 people riding in your neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to just ignore them. 4 or 5 people, and I'm not saying black or white males, riding in a subdivision at 4:30 in the morning. Windows down, they're riding real slow with lights off. If I pull you over, don't say, are you pulling me over because all 4 of us were black? No, I'm pulling you over because I got a car riding out in a subdivision at 4 o'clock in the morning. I can ignore it, or I can ask you what you're doing here, and you say, hey, I'm lost, I got here, I can pull you over, and then we go to the next subject. But we're not, what we're doing, we're working as a police department, and you got over probably 100,000 police departments. The problem is every department trains a different way. So the only thing I can do to reach out to the community that we're in, I can show you by the way I interact. If I see you on the street, I'm crack jokes. I'm not always in uniform. If I recognize somebody, hey, we're going to talk this, we're going to talk that, I want to speak to you. Do not feel like it's, I think the stigma now that comes is like you're not cool if you speak to the police. If you speak to the police, it might look like you're snitching. If you're already stand up and not doing anything, it doesn't matter who you speak to. I came up, I got this law enforcement. I didn't get in for the money. I got into it because I said, I want to give back. I want to shoot ball with everybody. I want to talk to everybody. If I can't drive a nice car, I want to show somebody that you can do it the right way. Back growing up, there's only a couple of ways that you can get out. You can either sell drugs, you can be real smart and be left alone, or you can play on basketball. There's only a couple of ways to get out. But the world has changed now. You can go to school, you can learn, you can get this, you can give back, you can ignore negative media attention, because when it comes to the media, if everything on TV was wonderful, it wouldn't even be a news station. Nobody.
I definitely don't want to cut you off, but can you expound on, for the young people who may not have even thought about this, what might be some things that might trigger an aggressive action, and maybe aggressive isn't even the word, but an escalating action from the police? What are some things that they might do or say that might trigger that response from a law enforcement officer?
What I ask you to do, if we ask you to do anything, just please follow. Sometimes we ask you to do something, you have your hands in your pocket. If I come up on you and you understand, if I'm talking to you and you got your hands in your pocket, that's an officer safety issue. Sometimes people take it like, why do you put your hands on your gun, and why do you put your hands in your pocket? All I ask you to do, if you show me your hands, I show you my hands. If your hands are wide open, my hands stay wide open. It's certain things that do it. Sometimes when we talk to you, you turn your back when you walk. Everyone doesn't do that. But understand, we just need you to cooperate. If you feel like we're doing the wrong thing, please cooperate with everything asked, and then you have the right to ask for a supervisor. If you're not young enough and you're with your parents, they ask for a supervisor. But don't get defensive at the beginning. Give us a chance, find out what's going on, and I guarantee before it's all over, you'll realize it's not that bad. Because understand, if we do one thing bad, you can't put it on everybody, because sometimes if something happens toward law enforcement, I can't treat that if the person that hurt this police officer had dreads or he had baggy pants, that every single person I ever deal with again, it's going to be that same way. We don't want that same stigma if one of us mess up. It's just not my profession, it's all professions.
Okay, so young men, be honest. Are any of you all scared or afraid of the police? When you see the police coming towards you or maybe behind you in the car, anybody get nervous? Okay. So thank you. I mean, this is a conversation. It's a conversation with my brother. So what are some of those things? What are some of those reasons why you come to have that apprehension?
I guess for me, it's just the unknown. You know, sometimes when the police are behind you, if you feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to, you never really know why you're getting pulled over. And then you also have that apprehension of what the exchange is going to be like once the person comes to the car. So, you know, for me, I'm just always aware of what's going on around me, what's going on in the news, you know, and as you see these images of different things that go on, these are the things that come to your mind when you encounter police. So those are some things that add to my apprehension.
Hey, Jason, can I get a piece of that?
Please.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Can you guys do me a favor? Can you please raise your hand if your parent ever had the talk with you? The talk, you know, about law enforcement, or the talk about what to do when you're in a grocery store. You ever had that talk? I had that talk, and I remember how that talk still affects me today psychologically. My mom told me when I was younger, when I would go in the store, she said, keep your hands out your pocket and don't stand next to the small items in the store. Anybody remember, have your parents talk to you about that?
Definitely.
So even to this day, when I go in the store, I don't have my hands in my pocket. I don't stand next to small items. And you see, I would be remiss, and this brother talked about some very valuable keys. The fact that we have to engage in law enforcement properly, that we have to conduct ourselves accordingly. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that there's a problem that we always have to have this conversation in our community. Because I don't think that other communities have this conversation about how you need to respond when you're dealing with law enforcement. And I think that if we have that conversation without talking about possibly the root causes of why we have these issues, then we're not having the right conversation that we need to have. So when we talk about the root causes, what are you talking about? If I go to the doctor and I say I have a stomach ache, and I go to the doctor, somebody come here, I need a young man to come up here. Somebody, come here. Somebody. I'm gonna call you out. Thank you, clap it up for this brother, clap it up for him. Appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna ask you a question. So you go to the doctor, you got a stomach ache. What do you expect the doctor to do?
Fix it.
Fix it. How do you expect him to fix it? By finding out what?
What the problem is.
Exactly. He expects the doctor to find out what the problem is. Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. So if I go to the doctor and I say I have a stomach ache and he gives me an Advil and doesn't find out the root cause and determine that I have an ulcer, then we have a problem. So in our community, we have to say, what is the root cause? And a lot of crime, and I'm sure you can attest to this, sir, is economically based. People are selling drugs. They're kicking people's doors at their homes because they're trying to get items. Or they go and kill somebody to get this turf because it's economically based. So the real question is, how do we fix this problem? How do we fix our community economics so that young men like these individuals have an opportunity? Because contrary to popular belief, these brothers want an opportunity to work and to do positive things in the community. So that's my question to us as a community. When are we going to get to the root causes? What does it take? What does that look like, providing these young men opportunities economically so that we can address those root causes and not address symptoms?
So let's ask, okay, I see a hand here.
I just got one comment to make. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, went to boys' high school. And they can get up and talk about anything they want to do about the police, but it's going to be up to the parents to educate that child before they get out there. Look at who you're running with. If they're doing the wrong thing, go the other way. But the parents gotta get together. The child can't do no more that you let him do. Okay. Now my parents raised me up. Other parents raised me up. Very seldom did I have a father growing up. But grandma made sure I stayed in church, people in the neighborhood, yes ma'am, no sir, and no ma'am. That's the way I grew up.
Okay, let's hear from this young man here.
My name is Lamar Parrish, I'm 18 years old, but to touch up on the thing that he said, the neighborhood. Your problem is that it is economically like dividing us. It's based upon what we live in our environment. I believe, what happened to the old days when, you know, your grandma next door used to help out the lady across the street, bring in groceries, and bringing back that community that we need. That's what we really need to fix these problems, because the community needs to step back in and help us raise each other up, because we can't do it alone. You can't do it with one family.
I think what the brothers talked about, we also have to address the fact that it's profitable to lock people up with the prison industrial complex. And that's something I talk about in my book, Decisions, Young Man's Guide to Avoiding the Traps. The fact that we spend more incarcerating people than we spend educating these young men.
So let's talk about that, because that's a whole nother conversation. And quite honestly, we don't have the right people in the room for that. The people who are building the prisons and making those kind of decisions. But let's talk about you all. Do you all feel like the image that is out there of young men of color in particular, do you feel like it's fair? Do you feel like you all are viewed as more likely to commit a crime, more likely to not be successful, to be violent, anything like that? Do you all feel that way? I only see one head nodding. Am I talking to myself? What do you all think?
To be honest, I never really felt that way. To me, if you come up to me and ask me that question, I mean, I'm gonna give you the respect that you deserve. So, in my opinion, I've never really felt that way.
Okay. I think I saw another hand.
I mean, I would basically say that that's the picture that's painted, propaganda-wise. You turn on your TV, you see us on there. You see a portrait of what we look like, from the way we wear our hair to the clothes that we wear, and then you see it associated with crime. You open up a book, you read about the percentages of who's incarcerated, who's in juvenile detention centers. It's us, you know, and that stereotype follows us, and then it programs us to act and to feel a certain way. So when we don't think we can do no better, we don't try to do no better. And if that's the mindset that we continue getting, that cycle is just going to be what we revolve around. You know, we'll grow up trying to do those things. We'll just try to fit in with the image that people paint on us. Until we see something different, more positive, or something that we feel we can reach or achieve, there's no need to change. It's not going to be a need for us to do anything different. It's always going to be that revolving door as far as us getting into that position.
Dr. Vivian, let me directly lob this at you, and of course the other panelists jump in as you see fit. But when you look at, particularly in the 60s and 70s, at the apex of the civil rights era, and then you look at what you see now, both around you and on TV and in the media, what are some of the key things that strike you about the differences between then and now as it relates to how our young people are viewed by quote-unquote mainstream America?
It was a lot worse then, right? In fact, in Chicago, gangs, in fact, the D's, the Stones, and the Lords, there was three of us that said, this is too much, because we've got to find out the whys of things. Why are they killing each other? Why do they feel as though they own one part of town and not another, right? By the time we finished with that, we had 20,000 jobs for young black guys in Chicago, right? That's because we finally got the D's, the Stones, and the Lords all together, right? Is that what one of you suffer from, all of you really suffer from, all right? And the main thing that stands out every time you turn is that the images that they have of us comes as a result of the fact that they don't know why they look like they do, why they act like they do, why they hate us like they do, all right? And the why is the important thing that we have to drop on them. The issue of racism is really their problem. It creates our condition, right? And if we understand that, then we can begin to make them stand up to what they do, what they think, and what they don't allow us to do. I remember in Chicago, for instance, the D's, the Stones, and the Lords, they kept each other, they were killing each other. We had to come in and stop that. But how do you stop it? You don't stop it by saying, stop that. You really say, what's the condition? Condition was nobody had a job. Condition was that guys were leaving their homes because they didn't want their mothers, because often their fathers weren't working. Why weren't they? Because there weren't any jobs, right? So one thing that we did, we went out to get those jobs. It took 11 months, right? But we ended up with 20,000 jobs. We changed the whole buildings trade industry, right? But we didn't do it by the guys being separate. We did it by the guys being together. I remember the night when I was doing the speeches all the time, but I wasn't the only one making them up, right? But my point being is that when we actually had to face it, is that the guys had to do it together. The first job was that we learned to love each other. The first job is we learned how to really understand who we were. And the other thing is to put them on the front. So that those who don't like us have to understand their condition.
So let me try and make it immediate and relevant for the young folks. Dr. Vivian and to the rest of the panel, we hear so much about, oh, these young men got their pants falling down beneath their butts. Or they going out with flip-flops on. Or, they got the hoodie on over their head and it's 70 degrees outside. We hear all of these things. What is your view, and this is to anybody on the panel who wants to be adventurous enough to feel this. Do you think that makes a difference, whether they realize it or not, for these young men? Anybody?
I'll take that. Before I get started, watch me get you involved in this. By show of hands, I want to see which one thinks that Kendrick Lamar is better than Drake. Let me see. Is Kendrick Lamar better than Drake? All right. Who's the Drake people? All right. You see what I just did there? This goes to this point. What I just did there is, just like these gentlemen said that they were from New York, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And when I was in Brooklyn, New York, I remember going to the barbershop, I remember going to the basketball courts, and that's all we talked about for the whole day. Who's better, Tupac or Biggie? And we would go at it. We'd go back and forth and back and forth. Some people said it was Tupac, some people said it was Biggie. But the one thing about those dudes were, when you listen to their rap, although my mom and dad didn't particularly care for what they were saying, when you dug deep into the lyrics in which they were saying, isn't it true that they speak a lot of truth about what we go through today? Would you say yes or no? Is Kendrick Lamar really like a prophet of what we go through today? Would you say yes or no? Yes. What does he talk about? Tell me what he talks about. Give me something positive about Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar's music talks about how he had it hard growing up in Compton, with gang violence and finding a way out positive. Kendrick Lamar found a positive way out the hood through music, and he showed that there's more than one way just to make it. In his music, he also talks about there being more than one way other than just rapping or playing ball.
Good deal. Now, when he gives us that, do you think that your parents see it the same way when they hear Kendrick Lamar? Do your parents see it like that? Absolutely not, right? But we can understand what makes them cool, and we can understand what they're saying and how they're trying to guide us. Is that correct? See, the difference that you guys got that we didn't have, and this is what Jason was talking about, you guys make your own cool. You set the trend for what the rest of the world sees in you. You set that trend. You come out with your art, you come out with your swag, you come out and you make the whole world want to be you. That's a fact. When I grew up, it was the same thing. Everybody wants to be you. And we know the term haters, right? When everybody starts to look at you and say, he's great, he's beautiful, the next thing is the person that can't be you is going to make up stories about how you dress, about your Jordans, about your hoodie, about how your pants is coming down, and they're going to try to manufacture that into you're a thug, you're worth nothing. Kendrick Lamar is talking about stuff that has nothing to do with us.
Now, Mr. Straker, let me interject and make or ask a question, because I know I got some business folks on the panel. Do you sometimes have to flip it up, switch codes? Maybe the way that you are in the boardroom isn't the way you are on the weekend with your fellas. Can you tell them about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may look at me now, you may not think that we call it busting slack. You know, back in the 90s, it was called busting slack, where your pants down a little bit. You know, you were cool. So now, you know, I'm dealing with executives. Most of the time, I'm the only black in the room. I think I can come in there with busting some slack, maybe have my hair a little not manicured. Not because I'm not the same dude, not because I'm not smart, but there's an impression that the world sees of us. And we would be remiss not to understand that, whether it be right or wrong. So most of the time when we see crimes being committed, what do they look like in our neighborhoods? They got hoodies on, they got their pants down, their hair's not manicured. So I'm stereotyping, yes I am. I sure am, I'm a young black man. But we've got to understand this is our reality. As much as I would love for it to be different, it is not. Until that day that it is, we've got to learn to at least conform to a degree to get what we need to get to.
Okay, anybody else?
As one of the persons on this panel that have employed people all over the world, here's the thing. You want to wear your hoodies, your pants down, that's fine. The question is, do you know how you have to dress to play the role that you're taking on a particular organization? Just know that when you go somewhere to an interview, there is a dress code. Just like in the military, just like a police officer, something like that. How you dress in your own environment when you go home, that's on you. The question is, or the problem is, when you show up to an interview and you're looking that way. That's the question. And a lot of people say, well, it's not fair, I should be able to dress how I want to. Well, as this officer sitting here now, he has his uniform on. That's the uniform of his organization. For me, this is my uniform, quote unquote, in the boardroom and so forth. But when I go home, I go hang out with my fellas or something like that, I dress differently. The question is, can you change those different modes, and do you know when to dress and why you dress in that way? It's not a part against you. That's just corporate culture. Just like you have your culture, the corporation have a culture too, and you have subcultures. The other thing is, when you get there, your attitude, how you speak and how you talk is important also. Some people may say, hey, well, you're talking white, or you're talking like a nerd or whatever. It is what it is, but if you want to be successful, then those are things you have to do to get that particular job. So you can go and do the things that you want to do. That's what you do. That's reality.
So I see Mr. Phillips, the change agent, has something to weigh in, but let's bring this down even more. I think y'all are doing a good job, but I feel like I'm probably reading some minds, and these guys are probably thinking, I'm not in the boardroom now. I'm not in corporate America. How does it relate to them now? Major parts, I'm not picking on you, but I mean, would it sometimes matter, you know, how a person is talking, speaking? We'll start with you, Mr. Phillips, and then we'll bring it over to Major Parts.
I wanted to share a quote Malcolm X said. He said, the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make guilty innocent, and that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. And I think what we need to do is change the narrative. How many of you guys know what happened at the Oscars? What happened at the Oscars? What happened? Go ahead. Yeah, so they basically left this out. Y'all, we know this, right? They left this out, right? So then people started complaining and saying, why they won't let us in? Why they won't give us an opportunity? And the question is, when do we start to create our own narrative? How many of you guys have ever posted a video on Instagram or Periscope or did Facebook Live? Anybody, YouTube, raise your hand. Anybody done anything like that? And when you've done that, you've created something unique, you've created something original. And you guys have the opportunity to create your own narratives. You don't have to allow somebody else to do that. I have a YouTube video series called The Change Factor. I got tired of seeing our young people doing what they do. So instead of complaining about it, why don't I create a series? And I have schools throughout the United States and Canada, they play the videos. We have almost 200,000 views. So my argument to you guys is, stop waiting on somebody else to fix our problems. Let's change the narrative and start to depict ourselves in a better light. And really show what we do on a good day, on a daily basis.
Okay, we have a question here in the audience.
Good evening. My name is Henry Clark. I'm the director for the Institute for Males at Atlanta Technical College. I hear the panel is saying to the young men that it's primarily based upon your dress. And I want us to drill a little bit deeper than that, because if history serves us right, in the civil rights movement, you couldn't see better well-dressed men and women in the street. So their treatment, the racism was not based upon the dress. The president is one of the most well-dressed men in the world, but yet he has not escaped being called the N-word. I think that we need to let our young people know that this is fundamentally based on economics. That we have to see the value, they have to see the worth that we have again, and that we have to encourage these young men to bring value to the table again. We have to have a certain level of skill sets that we can say to the world competitively that we have something to offer. And that's what I'm seeing with the 400 plus young men that I work with every year, is that they are lacking marketable skills to be considered valuable enough in the global market. And
let me address the other question about specific to young men. When I hire an intern, do you know how to dress when you come to that interview? That's the point that I was making. Now, when you were saying the thing about, let me back up. As a person that's fairly educated in the process of finishing a PhD, for some people, we have this saying, what do you call a black man with 5 PhDs? In some people's eyes, it will always be the N-word. But that's not my problem. That's his problem. The question is, what can I do to better my community and get educated enough that I can reach back and help others? All I'm saying to you guys is this: a lot of the challenges that we are encountering as African Americans, some of those things you need to start with yourself and your family and your community. That's the only point that I'm making. But you cannot change everybody's mind. You got to change yours first about how you see yourself. That's the only point that I'm making.
Very good. That's excellent point. And I agree with everything that everyone is saying on this stage. But when it's time for your feet to hit the pavement, Jason, what we're doing in the community right now is affecting change in the community. I'd like the members of the Alpha Mentoring Academy to please stand up just for a second. You guys can have a seat. Thank you guys for coming, by the way. So these 17, when they're all together, 17 young men are being mentored by the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. Would you stand up, brothers of A Phi A? So, and again, I'm not doing this to grandstand. I'm doing this to say we are affecting change in the community. These young men meet with us twice a month, right? We talk about issues that are affecting them in the community. We talk about the fact that the unemployment rate in the United States is 4.9%. The unemployment rate in Georgia is 5.5%. The unemployment rate for black men is 9%.
So let's, and I want to piggyback on something that Mr. Henry Carter said. Let me get 5 hands in the air, just 5 random hands. Okay. I want you all, I'm gonna pass the mic, we're gonna do this quickly, but tell me what it is that you think you want to do when you become an adult for a living.
I want to be a film director, a writer. I want to be a politician, hopefully the president of the United States when I grow up.
All right. I love it. What are my other 3 hands?
I would like to have my own mechanical engineering business.
Okay.
Brandon Pinson. I would just love to, own my own business. Specifically, I want to own my own shoe store. So, entrepreneur.
Okay. One more. Now maybe pick somebody. All right, well, I see you trying to avoid eye contact.
My name is Andres, and I want to do a construction and help everybody in the community.
Okay, say that one more time.
A construction and help
Okay.
everybody in the community.
Okay.
Stacey, I would like to know how many of you guys that said that you want to accomplish those things have a mentor to help you do that? And I ask that question because we got to get rid of all of the style and get back in symbolism and get to substance. And what I mean when I say that is sometimes on my social media, I'll see individuals that are like, hey, we just went out to the elementary school, we just read to the kids. Now what you gonna do after you read to them that day? Oh, we just went to the school, we just tied ties. We showed these brothers how to tie these ties. Now, what we gonna do after we show them how to tie those ties? Are we gonna help them with a resume? Are we gonna show them how to sit and have a conversation in an interview? Are we gonna show them how you should dress? Are we gonna show them how you need to look when you go in and try to get that interview? And you see, what these gentlemen are talking about, what these brothers are talking about is, we've got to expose them to different things. Now I'll share a real quick story. I taught at Point South Middle School here at Clayton County Public Schools. 6th grade geography, I taught 6th and 8th grade. And in geography, we talk about the physical features in the state of Georgia. And I was teaching them about one of them, which was Stone Mountain. And one of my students said, Mr. Phillips, where's Stone Mountain at? Is that like 5 hours away? I said, 5 hours away? Stone Mountain is 30 minutes down the street. But you see, the problem is our young people go to the Walmart and back home, the corner store and back home. And we want them to be these doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, all these different things, but we gotta mentor these kids. We gotta expose them and to show them how it goes. Now I asked that question because not one of them raised their hand and said that I wanna be an attorney, I know an attorney. Let me bring you to my office, let me show you what it looks like. When I speak, I ask young people, what do you wanna be? 99% of the time, I wanna be in the NFL, I wanna rap, I wanna be in the NBA. Because that's what they see. These young brothers got to get some people that do this, that are attorneys, that are law enforcement officers, that are entrepreneurs that say, let me show you what my office looks like. Let me show you what my day-to-day operations look like so that we can stop having a bunch of symbolism and talking about stuff and have some substance.
Okay.
Can I just add a quick point to that? So, a slightly different viewpoint. I think it's incumbent upon you all to go out there and seek those mentors. And the reason why I'm going to say that is that we've got plenty of people that want to help. Plenty of us that want to help. But you know how frustrating it is to try to help someone and to give your time and your energy and they don't take it seriously? So I remember when I was coming up, and I grew up right here in Marlon. I didn't know what an investment banker looked like. I couldn't even spell it. I didn't know what a lawyer looked like. I couldn't find anybody to mentor me, but you know what I did? I was determined that I was going to make it, and I sought those people out.
So let's talk about this, and this could go to any of you gentlemen on the panel, and probably a lot of the adults out here too. How do we get from all of these great sounding things, investment bankers, president, lawyers, will you all please talk to these young men in plain terms about the grind, about how hard you have to work, what you have to sacrifice, how you have to give up things. You can't hang out all the time. Will you all please pour into them about how you go from saying it to doing it?
I'm just going to go ahead and just speak on it. I'm just give y'all a warning. I'm very brutal when it comes to honesty. The job that I do is very hard. I'm 17. I'm a black male. I live in a Republican state, and I'm a political advocate. That's not your normal 17-year-old. It is a very hard job because people don't expect a lot from young black males. They expect ignorance. That's what they expect. That's what they come to know. Let me explain something to all of you guys. The most dangerous weapon in America today is a black educated man. That is the most dangerous weapon because people don't expect it anymore. They don't expect us to be educated. They don't expect us to have a goal and to have a plan on how to get America back on track. So when it comes out to light and it's out in the public, people don't know how to react. People don't like that. They don't like that we are trying to initiate a change. They don't like that we're trying to break stigma and stereotypes. When I am talking to my senators and my representatives on the Georgia Assembly and in the United States, national Congress members, people from Wisconsin, New York, when I'm speaking to them and I'm telling them, they don't expect those types of things from me. They look at me like I'm crazy because they're not used to it. I work with the Georgia Assembly. The people that your parents elect to represent them, I work with them. The people that the voters in the state of Georgia, Johnny Isaacson, Representative John Lewis, I work with these people on a daily basis. They don't expect it from us. They don't expect young children to be involved in politics. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I fight for everybody. Not just black men, not just white men. I fight for everyone. Why? Because I believe in equality. One thing I always say, and I've been saying it for a long time now, that when we get somebody of our culture, a black man in a political office, what do you see? You see him fighting for everyone, and that is one thing I can say with the President of the United States. Yes, he is a black man, but is he focused on just black men alone? No, he is not. He fights for everyone. He does not care what your background is. If he can fight for you, he's going to do it. And that's exactly what I was explaining to Mr. Straker in the hospitality room. I'm building 2 nonprofit organizations.
Well, now, Mr. Tillman, let me do one thing, because while I agree with everything you're saying, what I really want, and don't be offended at all by this, brother. Let me get some of the older brothers on this panel who've been grinding for years. Who's been grinding for years to explain to these young men that it's one thing to say and even believe. I believe they're sincere when they say that they want to do these things. I believe in their heart they are. But the actual steps and the level of effort and focus that it takes to get there. Anybody?
I'm going to say one thing first before I go to that. And you guys can probably throw things at me when I say this. I'm an educated black man, but I don't want people thinking that I'm dangerous. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. Now let me just talk about the grind for a moment. I made my first phone call. I'm from Alabama, Buck Backwood, Alabama. Okay, I made my first phone call when I was 14 years old. We didn't have any electricity or anything like that. We finally got it. I went to Tuskegee University and majored in electrical engineering. And my first project out of college was designing and building nuclear power plants. But I didn't have electricity until I was 14 years old. But what I did do was, I always carried around a notepad and a pen and a pencil. I always did my work. I studied every day. I stayed on the grind. I'm gonna add a little extra thing to that. I was dyslexic, I didn't even know it. Couldn't even spell kick when I was a kid. Right? I didn't find out until I got to college when we did those testing all the time to say, hey, you're dyslexic. And back in the day when I was in school, if you misspelled the word, you got a spanking. And then when you got home, you got a spanking. So I was a little wrong. However, the point that I'm making though is, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it, but it's going to take effort. Now, what are those efforts? How many of you guys, when you go home, rewrite your notes and study for at least an hour? Because we were talking about jobs as being the equalizer, and education as being the equalizer, but job requires skill, some form of education, okay, and it also requires work ethic. And that's what you have to do. What's your skill? What's your education? What are you passionate about? Then once you do that, people say to me, I work all the time. No, I do not. I do what I love to do, so it's not work to me. Okay? So when you say you want to own a mechanical engineering company, then you got to be a mechanical engineer. Math, science, things of that nature. But you got to study, you got to have that work ethic that started now. I didn't take my first vacation until 15 years after I was in business, but I love what I was doing. The point is, guys, your behavior starts now. That discipline starts now. And I always tell people, I had 3 jobs when I was in college. I had to join the Marine Corps to help pay for school. Desert Storm came about. Then I had to go fight a war. Then come back and finish school. But at the end of the day, I knew what my focus was. I kept my eye on the prize was I wanted to own my own engineering consulting firm. And I was successful in doing that. Okay, all I'm saying to you guys is the things and behavior that you exhibit now from a work ethic standpoint, it's going to be the same thing you establish later on in life. Start now.
Okay, so
I'll just be brief. I had my first job when I was 14. There used to be a Ryan's over by the Walmart on Jonesboro Road. So I started there. I didn't always go to straight there. So unlike a lot of people on the stage, I'm not here to lecture you. I had a son when I was 20 years old. He's here right now. Stand up, Jay. So when I was 20 years old, I had to raise a man. That's when my life changes. I played, I hung out, all I cared about was having fun and chasing girls. But then when I had him, I had a decision to make. And that's when the work ethic in me started. You know, I had a job at an early age, so I knew what it was to go to work. But that's when I realized there's something else depending on me, and so I've got to do more. And my mom always taught me that you need to be twice as good as the next white person. Let's just be honest. And I'll be honest with you, in corporate America, that saying is partially true. And anyone that does not recognize that or hides that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mr. Phillips, break it down for me.
Yeah, real quick. Where are we at right now? What is this? It's a gym. Anybody ever on the basketball team or tried on the basketball team or anything? You ever ran suicides, ran lines? What the coach tell you to do when you run your lines? Touch the what? Say touch the line. And he makes you touch the line because the difference between winning and losing in life is real small. And you see that when you cheat and you don't touch that line, who you cheating? You cheating yourself. So then when that fourth quarter come and you gotta dig a little bit deeper, you ain't got it because you ain't touched the line. Share a real quick story with you guys. When I was in college, I was getting my master's degree, lost my job, lights got cut off, gas got cut off. I didn't have money to even go to school. I put $2 of gas in my old motorcycle, 1992 FCR 600 Yamaha motorcycle, carbureted engine, not even, wasn't even fuel injected. And motorcycles back in the day, they don't have gas gauges. So I would go to school, and 4 times I cut off on a freeway, in the middle of the freeway. And I'd have to hurry up and swerve the bike over before I got ran over on the freeway. And I would call the Hero. You guys know what a Hero is? 411, you see it on the freeway? And they would put more gas in my motorcycle than I was able to put in my bike. And this is the point that I'm making. When I was at my lowest point, a friend of mine called me from California who went to school out here. Hadn't talked to this guy in 2 years. He says, I got an opportunity for you, Phillips. I said, what you talking about? He said, I know some people down there that if you allow me to mail this brick to you, all you gotta do is give it to them and you'll get your cut of it. And I'm 6 months away from getting a master's degree. And because I was at such a bad place in my life, I said, let me think about it. And then I slept on it and I woke up and said, I ain't about to do that. I said I would be that dude to get caught. And I share that story with you guys because the grind is real. I wrote 3 books, 2 motivational songs mixtape, do speaking engagements all over the place, be flying somewhere else. You have to be willing to put in the work because when you do more than what's expected, what's gonna happen is you're gonna find your gift and your talent. You will never find your gift and your talent being average. You gotta put it all in. Whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you wanna rap, if you wanna be in the music industry, you wanna produce music, or if you wanna be an attorney, or you wanna be that politician, you got to be putting in the work right now because average is crowded. And I want y'all to think about it. Every time you feel like you're getting tired, I want you to say, touch the line. Mentally to yourself, touch the line. When you don't feel like studying at night, touch the line. When you got that test and you're like, I'm sleepy. When you in practice or when your mom's getting on your nerves, say, touch the line. Because that's what's going to take you to the next level.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Professor Marvin DeWitt from Atlanta Metropolitan State College. Mr. Phillips is one of my colleagues that I work closely with at Atlanta Metropolitan State College. I had to stand up and speak for a quick second. The grind is real. I can relate to the brother on the end. I was 14 years old when my dad took me to get my first job. I just finished 8th grade, and I thought I was going to relax over the summer, enjoy, before I go to high school. And my dad was like, no, come on, let's go. I'm going to get your work permit. He got me a job at Virginia Commonwealth University working for the physical plant, and I was making $6 an hour. Back in '97, $6 an hour was more than minimum wage. And so at that point, my dad instilled in me like, okay, you're a young man and you're gonna have to work. At 14 years old, I was bringing a check in every Friday. But as I matriculated through high school, I kept a part-time job. When I got to college, had something drastic happen my sophomore year of college. I was almost killed in a car accident and I had to learn how to walk again. Mind you, I had just transferred from North Carolina A&T State University to Virginia Commonwealth because of finances, because my parents couldn't afford out-of-state tuition. So I had to make a decision and come to school back home. And in the heat of a moment of being at a party with a group of friends, and me and my best friend was coming from the party, a drunk driver hit his head on and almost killed me. So mind you, this was my first semester at a different institution, and I had only been there for 3 weeks. Well, I could have made the decision to say, okay, well, I'm gonna drop out of school. I'm not gonna stay enrolled because I can't walk. I literally could not walk. But because I knew my options, I went to school in a wheelchair for 3 weeks. I crunched the campus for the whole first semester on crutches. And in the second semester, I walked with a cane the whole time. When you want something and something and when you're hungry for something, you're gonna make the sacrifices no matter what the circumstances. I deal with students all day. I'm also an academic advisor and retention officer as well, and I'm a doctoral student, okay? And I sit with students all the time. They tell me about their struggles being a college student and their environment and how they don't have this and they don't have that. And so I always refer to that story. If you want something bad enough, no matter what your circumstances are, you're going to hustle and make it happen. Okay, I never thought in a million years that I would be a professor. That was the last thing I thought. The point that I'm trying to make is if you're hungry enough for something, okay, you'll start from a young age and you will work your way all the way through until you finish what you've accomplished. So I wanted to share that.
You got one?
Ladies and gentlemen, the young man on the far end right there, that's my brother Eric Atwater. And I want to salute the rest of my brothers that are here because unlike some of the people in this room, we are actually from this direct area. We grew up on Highway 42. We grew up on Fielder Road. We went to Morrow High School. So we sat in some of the same places. We ran around this county, the same areas that you young men, all the young people that live out here right now. Now, my name is Barry Brown. I am the author of the Student Athlete Playbook. I specialize in student athletes, character education, and mindset training. And what I'm here to tell you all, like Mr. Atwater said, like Dr. Carter said, guys, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility. See, it's one thing as your parent, it's one thing as your mentor to tell you and give you the roadmap, right? But when I know you don't go home, and like the gentleman said, you do not study your notes that you just took in class, then I know you don't know where your biology book is that the teacher assigned to you. You don't know where it is. When I know you haven't studied for that quiz or that test, like this young man just said, I know you don't want it. I know you don't want it. But you have the audacity to say, I want to be a doctor. You have the audacity to say, I want to be a chemical engineer. No, you don't. Because you would put forth a better effort. What you're actually saying is, I want you to give it to me. Nobody gave Dr. C.T. Vivian and my dad and all the civil rights men anything. Look at this building you're in. Look at the schools you go to. Tremendous opportunity for you to do what you have to do for yourself and your family that is to come. So now to end this, thank you, Jason. To end this, I put the challenge on you to be accountable for yourself and your actions, and then you will see all the help that you need to take the next step in life.
I think to sum it up, what everybody up here is trying to say is that your work has to match your want. If your want is way up here, and your work is way down here, it ain't gonna happen. Your work has to match your want.
Okay. You got a question?
I just wanted to make a statement.
Okay.
I just wanted to take a moment to say something that kind of will make it more real for you. I'm not a preacher, so I'm not going to preach. But it's about making decisions. We're all the product of our decisions. Would you agree? Young guys, I'm looking this way, but I'm sure there's some people around here that may be the message was. It's about, we're all the products of our decisions. And it's your job to string up enough good decisions that it changes your life. So what's a good decision? Well, a good decision can be, you know what, today, instead of getting up at 7 o'clock, I'm gonna get up at 6:30 and spend that 30 minutes doing something, working towards making myself better. Or it could be, instead of allowing myself to do poorly in my English class, I'm gonna go and talk to the professor today and see what I can do to get a little extra credit. Or it could be, you know, instead of going and hanging out with my boys tonight, I'm gonna go to church with my mom. Or it could be instead of letting my pants hang down so low today, I'm gonna put that belt on and pull that knot tight, just one more click. But those are just good decisions. Now, again, some of us make good decisions all the time, but all of us don't make good, I'm taking it back, all of us don't make good decisions all the time. There are gonna be chances in your life where you're gonna make some really terrible decisions. And that's okay. But when you make good decisions, you recognize when you make a poor decision and you can quickly turn yourself around. So I'm asking you, just try to make a good decision, one decision every day to change your life. And then string along those good decisions. I guarantee you, as a product of Educator, where it's greater. Sit down. No, but seriously, as a part of Educator, I grew up in the hood. I took one of my frat brothers to my neighborhood yesterday. And it's about making good decisions. And if you make enough of those in a row, your life will change. And then you'll be sitting on that stage helping the next layer of brothers in need help. Thank you.
All right. And that's actually a good segue. You all have kind of been on cruise control, so I'm back to you now. So, let me see. Since y'all are raising the hands, let me just, you looking straight at the stage, so let me come to you. Here, take the mic. Do you think that music, some of the rap music in specific, has a negative influence on the way that young men conduct themselves?
Sometimes.
Okay. Give us more.
How they talk about, like, how they disrespect women, and talk about how they disrespect women, and talk about how they do drugs and how they sell it and all that stuff.
Okay. Anybody else? What we're talking about for the young folks is, and I'm coming to you all because quite honestly, like one of the panelists said, a lot of us, we might even hear the beat, but we don't really understand what's being said. So you all talk to us. What are some of the ways that the music you feel might have a negative impact on you young folks? All right, Mama?
I definitely think it has a strong impact on the way we think, especially when it comes to setting our priorities. I'm a victim of it myself. I used to think, I did everything just to get the girls, and so Yeah, you do I was in the mindset, I'm doing everything to get girls. I go to the gas station, I gotta dress my best, I gotta do everything just to get the girls. And I think it just starts with our priorities and messes up the way we think, you know what I mean?
So young men, okay, pass the mic. I want to hear from you.
Well, my name is Seth Buckner. Yeah, the rap music we listen to, it's not even fitting our lifestyle. Because a lot of us young children, we're not even, a lot of us haven't even seen cocaine in person. And yet we're talking about slinging crack and stuff. And it's just I think we should be listening to music that fits our lifestyle.
Right. One more. My name is Reverend, and I just watched a movie last night. Speaking about shot rap, mainly I got from that movie is that we do stuff to impress women, and we are disrespecting women, and they're getting used to it. And by that, they're looking for that type of man to treat them. So it's kind of double standard, you know? It's like we try to be this mean type of person just to impress all the other women and make them scared and feel that type of way, so they're looking for that type of dude.
Absolutely. So by show of hands, and I'm gonna come to you, brother. I see you. By show of hands, how many of you all feel, you young folks feel, like the overwhelming majority of the rap music is focused on some kind of form of success? Money, clothes, cars, jewelry. Really? What, 1, 2, 3, only 3 of y'all feel that? 5? What do you feel, if you didn't raise your hand, what do you feel the majority of the rap music is focused on?
I really don't know.
You don't listen, you're a classical man.
Not to say that.
Okay.
I listen to all types of music, so I mean.
Fair enough. The rap that you do listen to, what do you feel like most of the focus is on?
Well, it does focus on money and success.
Who's your favorite rapper?
Keep it real.
Drake.
Drake? Why is that?
There's something about his music and the way his music sounds and stuff like that.
Okay.
Quick question, like, who makes that song, Hit Me in the DM?
Yo Gotti.
What?
Yo Gotti.
Young Gotti, right? The old heads are thinking I'm talking about the Department of Motor Vehicles. No, I'm not talking about the Department of Motor Vehicles, right? So when we talk about music, and I used to do this, so I'm gonna say that. I used to say, listen to that music, that foolishness they listening to, you know, back in my day, right? And they might be listening to Future or Drake or Kendrick or whatever, and you know, my day was Pac or Nas or something like that, and then somebody older, they might have been listening to NWA, and then somebody older might be listening to Africa Mumbadi or something like that, I don't know. But what I think that we can do with music is, even though we don't necessarily agree with it, we can use it as a vehicle to have conversation and meet these people where they are and build them up. So I like Pac, right? Do Heaven Got a Ghetto? I might say, why must I sock a fella just to live large like Rockefeller? Like, what you think about that? That we can have a conversation. And then you might let me hear one of your artists, and we had that conversation. We say, well, how can we, what is this music doing to our mentality? Or what is this music doing to the way that we live on a daily basis? What is the real message behind this music? And then we can start to break down those barriers, and now we can start to have a conversation versus approaching people like your music is nothing, because that's the wrong approach to have with it.
So I'm gonna give these young people a quick breather, but even though I'm not a panelist, I want to say something to set it up as a question to Dr. Vivian and the rest of the panel. Unfortunately, recently I had the experience of attending the funeral of Major Greg Barney, who was a Riverdale officer, and was killed in the line of duty. And the funeral was packed out with people from literally all over the country. And one of his eulogists said something that really just struck me to the core. And he said, more than just being successful, Major Barney was significant. And one of the reasons I asked that question about the music, and it focuses so much on the money, the clothes, the cars, the trips, all of that, and that's monetary success, and nothing is wrong. I hope it all comes to you. But Dr. Vivian, I'm gonna start with you, and then the other panelists can take it. Will you please speak to these young men about the paramount importance of being significant?
You know, we're just getting to where we should be starting. Is that until you decide what you want to be, you won't be anything. All right? You've got to decide as soon as you can what is it you want to be and do and become. Right? Those are the three biggest questions you've got to deal with. And until you decide that, you won't do anything worth doing. You will be playing your life away. Now, but what I'm worried about also, you'll be playing other people's lives away. All right? Is that, and it has to be very clear that you've got a whole history. All right? You also got a lot of girls you're interested in, but I've also seen a lot of babies that came as a result of your playing around. All right? And and that's a downside. All right? You've got to decide what you want to be, how you want to be it, what you have to do to be it. And you should know that by now, just looking at you. You should know what you want to be. The first thing you've got to do is to find out what is it that you want to do and be and become. Until you decide that, you just play around.
All right.
All right, thank you, Jason. So one of the things I think about when we talk, you said being significant, right?
Significant.
I mean, if you look around this room, right, the people who are here, it's a lot of us could have stayed in bed today and watched TV or whatever, right? But we decided to come here. We made that conscious decision. So as you go through life, as one of my brothers said so eloquently, right, you have to make decisions through life. And I want you to ask yourself, am I living up to my potential? Because you only have one chance at this life. So you need to ask yourself, am I the best husband I can be? Am I the best friend that I can be? Am I the best student that I can be? And if the answer is no, then you need to rethink that. Live up to your God-given potential. Be the best person that you can be. If you can give it your best and give it your all, you will be significant.
Good afternoon, everybody. Young man, I know that they asked the question of what it is that you want to be, and that's always good to put that goal in your mind, but I also want you to focus on why you want to be it. Once you figure out why you want to do anything, how you want to answer that question to make the world a better place, that's when all of your steps will be directed so that you can get to your goal. Are you following me on that one? So make sure that when you say, who's the mechanical engineer? Right there. Make sure you go to Alabama A&M, #1, one of the best mechanical engineering schools in the United States of America. We can talk about that and we'll get you there. But I want you to put your heart on why you want to be a mechanical engineer, why you want to be a politician. Name a problem that you want to solve. That's how you're going to get to the goal that you're going to be. Okay?
Okay, the first thing, what everybody's saying is great. I did trio programs for 10 years at Clark Atlanta University. Town research up and down. What I've learned about the kids is a lot of them want it. We can't assume that they don't want it because they're not trying. They just don't know how to get there. The more I expose my students to different opportunities, the more they desire and started to dream and something ignited in them. Okay? And then when a teacher teaches a lesson in school, they don't have time to tailor-make it to whatever learning style our children have. And there are three main learning styles: kinesthetic, audio, and visual. We need to teach our kids how to take what they've learned in school and turn it into whatever learning style they have, so they can maximize on getting better grades instead of assuming because they're not getting it the way the teacher did it or reading enough, that's not the way they learn. I have a nephew who is 7 years old, and he said he felt like making him read extra 30 minutes is like punishment. Then we found out he's dyslexic, so we had to get him his help. You understand? So, it's interesting. I'm a graduate of Tuskegee myself, so hey, there's some powerful people here. But thank you. But just think about it. There's a website that I do have that's called Learning Styles Inventory. You take 20 questions, it tells you what kind of learner you are. Then you can go to the internet and find out different study resources that you can tailor-make that lesson that the teacher taught you into your learning style.
Okay, so let's actually use that as a springboard then, guys. I'm back to you now. I told y'all it's just gonna be a breather. I just told you it's just gonna be a breather. So what is it, since this is a conversation, right? Right? That's what the flyer said. So what is it that you all feel like we as adults don't get or that you need from us to help you? Because I don't know you, but I know this about you. You are 100% of our future. You are the future. So what is it that we don't know? This question, no disrespect, this is for the young folks. What do we need to know that you need? How do we need to deliver to you? Young man right here.
Some adults don't understand like what children go through and stuff. Like some males, some males just act tough because they see other people doing it. So like older people, you realize rappers and stuff, if they didn't see other people doing it, then they wouldn't do it. So
I'm gonna ask you to be courageous here. What is your biggest fear or concern as a young man? I know that's not a male cool thing to do to say what you're scared of. What's your biggest fear or concern?
Not being successful.
Okay, that's real. Anybody else want to raise their hand? Okay, I got my young man here.
Brandon Penton again. So I think one thing the older people don't understand is that now the requirements for the jobs that we want have been lifted. We need a bachelor's degree now or a master's degree to get simple jobs. Well, not simple jobs, but the jobs that a lot of times we look up to. But and we try to finish school and we don't usually because of financial reasons or like she said, they're not tailoring the classes to our learning needs. So we kind of give up, you know what I mean? And so, and a lot of times it's also our environment, our friends that we hang out with. I know in my situation, I don't have the best friends. I know they don't have the same mentality as me, you know what I mean? So they, and I don't want to lose who I am and also be a lame person in the neighborhood. So that's a lot of times, that's one of the things that hold us back. And we, when we drop out of school, we go back to McDonald's and we go back to Burger King and go to all these labor jobs, and we're just settling. And so that's what drives us to go and get the money however we feel like we got to.
Okay, I got
Jason.
This your brother's been chopping at the bit.
Probably just a person who doesn't judge you. That's all.
Say that one more time.
A person who doesn't judge you.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel as parents, I'm not a parent, but I grew up in a household where I wasn't the best child, and my parents and grandparents were quick to compare me to the neighbor's child
or who they saw on TV. Growing up in that kind of environment, I felt as if I was being forced to mold myself as in who they wanted to be and not who I wanted to be. And it was a whole lot of butting heads and issues growing up because they didn't want to be somebody who I wasn't. So I felt as if I wasn't going to amount to nothing if I didn't become what they wanted to be.
That's good. That's good. So, young men, before I turn it over to the adults to speak on this is your opportunity.
We want to hear more what they got.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's. I got you. So what is it? This is you literally have the microphone now. What is it that you want us to know?
Oh, you first, and then we'll get to it.
Hi, my name is Clayton. So I didn't grow up in Clayton County, grew up in Cat County. And one thing that I know is up there is I didn't really learn reading. I didn't learn anything. I went to college and I was like, oh my God, gotta teach myself. So and I really wanted me out of college. I had to go in there and teach myself all these. I got 15 credit hours, and I'm trying to be a pre-med student, and I don't even know math. You know what I mean? So I think that one thing that we really need is more. And I never had a mentor. I never had anybody that I could look at and be like, oh, I'm going to go ask you questions. It's just the cat down the streets, beef, people shooting each other, you know. And I just think we need more people come to our schools and take the time. I used to play tuba. I used to wish that more people who used to play tuba would come back and talk to us and help us. And they never came back. Once they graduated, they got a good job. And I really didn't have this. I wish more people come back to the schools and take their time out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You next. Go first. You can go first. Okay.
Hey everybody, my name is Floyd Taylor. What I think that adults need to really understand about us kids, like the brother said earlier about how his parents compared him to other people. For about 10 years, I was a really shy person. You know, standing up right now, that would have been a thing for me to do about 5 years from now. But I know my parents were quick to compare me to somebody else. But what I figured out is that being myself sometimes is a good thing. Not necessarily to disobey rules or to do something like that, but to do what I like whenever I did something that I like to read, or to really focus on my academics. Like right now I'm applying for boarding schools. Right now I'm writing my own book. Right now I'm trying to learn how to code a website. It's all things that I want to do. Now I'm not saying that I did it all by myself, because I believe credit is due where credit goes. But I'm just saying that the things that I did really helped me and what I need to do, and it's helped me go places that if I had just been what someone else wanted me to do, it wouldn't have happened.
And you are a future president, right? All right. Went from shy to president. Where's my other?
All right. I would just have like a question, like, could y'all give us some advice on keeping our composure? Because a lot of the kids that I go to school with, we get very stressed out, and a lot of them just quit, drop out. Could y'all help us out with that? Like, I know for myself, it's very hard for me to just keep being positive about the situation, especially when I'm trying my best. And, you're not really getting the results that you want. I mean, y'all can say that we're not putting in the work, but y'all on risk 24/7 to see what we're doing. So you're not actually, y'all are around a lot, but, some of those critical moments when we're in the classroom or in the library, we're by ourselves at the times. And instead of adding stress, can you give us some pointers on how we could kind of block out the noise?
Okay. Well, look. Oh, there we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Monroe Hatcher. I work with the Clayton County public school systems, parent liaison in West Clayton Elementary School.
Pull it up closer, brother.
Okay, so my name is Monroe Hatcher. I work as parent liaison at West Clayton Elementary School. I think growing up as a kid, I remember watching one specific movie, Menace to Society, Charles H. Dutton. And one key phrase that he said in that movie that I see and deal with kids a lot of times, I don't necessarily know if they realize. The hunt is on, and you are the prey. It's really serious in that aspect. I remember being a teenager growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, just maybe like an hour west of Philadelphia. And it came to a pivotal point in my life where it was like a fork. I had a best friend, his name was Jay. Jay's mother wasn't around, alcoholic, his father wasn't there, project kid. He had to do what he had to do to survive. As he started to do that, he started to head towards the streets. He was my best friend, so I went to be with him. Luckily, he was smart enough to push me away. That decision at that moment, and me able to just be able to listen to my inner conscience, hearing my mom's voice, it saved my life. Right at the peak of graduation, his senior year, he sold to an undercover cop, 10-year bid. Got out, got locked back up again for another 10 years for the same thing. So if you're not making the right decisions, wasted time can be costly. And if you're not surrounding yourself around the people that you need to be around, that's key. It can be detrimental.
Okay, so let me get for one more young man before, go ahead, sir. Hey,
I'm Desmond Titus, and for me and myself and my peers, as we go through, we have goals in life and goals that we want to achieve. But I know everything that we see on the media is not everything that's able to do. Most of the time that we see are gangsters, thugs, and lifestyle. Not lifestyle, I mean like entertainment. Most of us take it as different as lifestyle instead of entertainment. And what we don't see is the background and the views of the older wise men that we do have, and that we do see. We don't always get to go into the office with them. We don't always get to see how this does this car work, or how we do this to do this, or how do we make it there. We always need somebody to show us that way, and sometimes making that like a student development program could be best for peers and myself as of that nature, for us to grow as a community.
So I was listening to all of that, and one of the needs or wants that was voiced was, well, hey, we're working, and maybe you all just don't know it or see it. I'm going to throw it back to our panelists because we're running short on time for their final thoughts. But what I want somebody, or maybe all of you all, to kind of address is, I think that maybe there's a disconnect in what they're saying and some of our people who have taken the mic and what you all are hearing. I know a lot of people who did the right thing and they went to college or they went to law school or whatever, and they think that, boom, I should be successful.
Law enforcement, we're at a disadvantage more than any other profession, I feel, because when we come, we always come when something's wrong. So what we have to do is think of ideas to show you another side of us. But also, taking this job, we just don't walk into this job. We try to make it harder so everybody just doesn't feel, I want to be a cop and I just want to be in control. No, I want to, when we're hiring you, and I'm not in the hiring process, but I'm saying, when we're hiring you, I want you to say, hey, I want to mentor to the youth. I want to convince them. I want to show them. I want to be that person. I heard a lot of people say, hey, I need that mentor to show me this and that. But once you come up with that plan, it might not go your way. You got to sit back, you got to take a deep breath and, figure something else out. But understand, everybody's not going to be on TV playing basketball. Everybody's not going to be in the doctor's office. But the number one thing we said up here, you got to grind. And with grind comes work ethic. And once you have one of those two, everything is accomplishable. But you're in here in front of us, and that's the number one step, and I applaud you.
Any other closing thoughts, panelists? Any other closing thoughts? Anybody? We got to have a parting word from you, Dr. Vivian.
Well, we are just beginning. And the truth is, could we do this more often with each other until we learn something about each other? And I don't mean that you can read off of a paper. I mean until we have some relationship with each other. We won't make it. I remember, and I shouldn't go into stories, but you have to. You have to decide sooner or later who you're going to be, who you want to imitate. What is the world like that you want to live in. And you got to write it down, all right? Most of us didn't write it down, but we wish we had, all right? Is that, and to see the goals that you really want. You're going to have more than one goal. And the reason the woman clapped when you said church, right? Because you see, most of us wouldn't have stayed somewhere on the hard line if we hadn't had somebody giving us more ideas than just what we wanted to be. You have to have the character to back that up, right? You've got to be building yourself to be more than anybody thinks you are. If you don't like you, nobody else is going to like you, right? You've got to know what you want to be like as well as what you want to be, right? Is that what kind of person am I going to be? If you haven't decided that, please do, right? Until you begin to decide what kind of person do I want to be, you can be anything. You can be a crook, you can be anything, all right? Better than we did. We just breathe, that's all. Remember, you are a part of a history of a people. Don't forget that, right? You're not just another somebody. You're the end result of people that died in slavery. You're that died in the Civil War trying to be free. You've got to understand that you are a part of something bigger than you are, right? Please understand that. And that there's generations of people that depend upon you. It's the kind of thing that you've got to get over inside of you. What kind of man do I want to be, right? What am I not going to do with my life as much as what I'm going to do with my life, right? Is it the most popular guy in school? Maybe a lousy kind of human being, right? You have got to find out what kind of total person you want to be. It's character as well as the kind of work you're going to do. Is that, in fact, the character base is going to decide for you things that what you want to be don't decide for you. What the kind of character you want to be is going to decide what kind of people you hang around with, right? And the ones you hang with, you're going to become like. So don't hang around with fools. Don't hang around with people that don't know nothing. Don't hang around with people who don't want to be nothing, all right? Find you an adult that you really think is a nice person, a good person first, not a doctor or lawyer in the chief. If he doesn't have any character, it doesn't make any difference what he is, all right? And you've got to become a person worthy of being a human being. If you are, the rest of it's going to follow. You're going to find what you want to do. It may take a little longer. I was in the middle of high school before I knew what I wanted to be. But I thought I knew when I was 6 years old. I was really 5. I thought I knew what I was going to be. I thought I was going to be a doctor because I'd seen a doctor tell me what my illness was. And I said, anybody can, later on I found out the line for it. If you can look into the seeds of time and tell me what I am then and going to be, then I want to know more about you. The point being is that you have got to be a person before you can be anything else. That's why your grandmother took you to church.
Young men, I can't emphasize this enough. As they say, Google them. Dr. Vivian, when you see some of the footage and some of the heroic things that he has done, reflect back on what he said. This is somebody who has truly walked the walk. Commissioner Gregory.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. You know, one of the things they tell me at the gym, they said when you, I think, Don, I think you told me this, when you go to the gym, you're supposed to feel like you're ready to go back. You're supposed to, don't overdo yourself, but feel like you're ready to go back again. So that's what this is today. We can't solve it all, but you know what? It's leaving you knowing we got a lot of work to do, and we have a lot more conversations that we have to have. But for right now, we can't continue those conversations because we have lunch for everyone in the community room. And panelists, if you would please come in and you'll be able to still talk to our young men, talk to them more. Before we dismiss, Mont Irby, would you please stand? This is one of our panelists from last year's A Conversation with My Brother. Still doing great work in the community. Jason Etheridge, you saw him earlier, he moderated for us last year. And one of the things I want to tell y'all, I'm old school. And someone said earlier about listening to the older men. I met Mr. Harris. Stand up, Mr. Harris, Mr. Grover Harris. We met some years ago. He is 94 years young. And you should see him just go up and down his stairs. I've had the pleasure of being at his home, and he's just an awesome gentleman. And we're just also, can't say enough too, how honored we are to have Dr. C.T. Vivian with us today. Thank you so much.